And we are live. Hello there and welcome to another Unhide tutorial. So let's keep tracking with our werewolf project from where we left it, and let's have a quick review of where things were before. So this is where we stopped the last time, remember? We were posing the werewolf to have a nice notion of where things would be, and we quick rendered two of these poses. So here's one of them that's a bit different from the layout, and here's the other one where we had the head going this way. I posted that on Unhide and people were all like, yeah, this is not the best pose that we can get because this is so much better. But still, there are a lot of things that we want to tweak, and that's all there is to talk about in this video, because we can improve it in so many ways. We were blocking it, and that's cool because we can have a nice notion of where we want things to be. But if you have a quick look at the model itself, it's just a block up, you know, things are not connected, and we are really looking forward to have the shapes into nice places so we can keep crafting our final model, and we'll have all that nice interaction with the muscles and skin and all that's gonna lead towards our final model. Okay, so if you get back to this, why do you think this is better than this? You can say many things like, I like it because I have a better shape of the face, you know, I can see that he's more angry or something like this. But there are details that we don't know how to explain that are purely visual design. Let me show you why. So let me create another layer here and I can draw. This pose was the first thing that we had in mind, and the reason for this is because our original sketch, that's the original werewolf drawing, it was meant to be like this. You can see that he's arched, and this drawing works, but when I try to go and work in our composition like this, unless I go and I pose it exactly like I have here with the same size of limbs and all of that, it's not gonna work the same way. And when I was creating this werewolf, I try to go with better proportions, so this guy looks like he could exist. And when you end up trying to pose this guy the same way as you originally idealized, you tend to lose a lot of stuff. What we can't lose though is the idea. We can get this new model and work it out to have the same power that we idealized here and convert it into your final image, and that's going to be way more powerful because besides having nice composition and carrying your idea, it's going to work like you would in real life. So realism has a lot of power to add to this. So okay, and then we try to pose it like this and it didn't work that well. That's because at least I feel like I have a lot of lines flowing this way. It's all flowing this way. You see, like the arm goes like this. We have this line here, and the line is one of the most powerful visual clue that the eye can have. Every time you see a line, you're gonna look at it. And another big thing is looking at where your subject is looking at. Every time that's gonna happen. So you see that we're all going on this direction. The reason why I like the other one better is because look at what happens to the lines. We have lines coming here, we have lines coming here, here, and the face is actually throwing you back in the composition. And this arm here, I think it's in the same spot. No, actually the arm plays a big role. It's going this way. So you see that now we have more lines converting to keep you entertained with our werewolf. And probably we don't have a neck here because, you know, we just posed the head in an odd way to have a nice composition, but of course we're gonna have this as well when we have a proper neck in place. So all of these things make me feel like I like this image better than the other one. Pardon me. So nice. Now that we know why this works better and I have a grasp of why I like this pose, we can go and start to make it look better. Let's go and draw a little bit over it. So definitely one of the things I want to add first is a neck. We gotta have a proper neck arrangement, and that's probably gonna mess a little bit with how our shoulder looks like, and it's a bit too big. We can improve that. It's gonna end up looking a little bit more like a human shoulder, I think. Whoops, I'm drawing over my layer. Let's do this in a separate layer so we can turn it on and off. The others doesn't matter anymore. Alright, so you see, like, this is gonna be a big one. Having the shoulder a shorter length, it's gonna work a little bit better. We're gonna have a look at some references to make sure we're putting things on the right place. Here we go. Here, this hand plays a big part on how our werewolf is gonna be feeling like, you know, because when you see hands like this, all the tension that you can idealize here is gonna tell a big part in the story. So roughly speaking, I want this hand to be something like it shows how he's struggling. So I'm just sketching here very roughly to have an idea of what I'm gonna create later. This hand is the same thing. I don't think I want it to have it bent towards the arm, towards the chest. I think this is a lot better. And you see how it's not closed, like you can see the fingers and the way it shows the struggle. So I'm gonna try to convert that here as well. Maybe getting this, let me change the color so you can see it. Maybe yeah, something like this. So it shows that it's bent. You see, if you look at, maybe I can show you, you see my hand here, like this is a normal hand, but if I do this, you see how tense it is. All not the veins, but the tendons, it shows it hurts, or it's putting a lot of effort into doing so. So I want to get that here, and it looks really nice, so I want to keep that look. And what happens when I draw it like this is that I'm making sure that whatever I place here, whatever model I place here that looks a bit like this, it's gonna work. So that's why it's always a good thing to sketch it out before you actually go there and build that in 3D, because it's gonna take less time. And there's always the problem, or the when things don't go right, like you go and you model the hand and you bring it and you render that out and it looks a bit odd and you don't know why, like it's not working that well. This prevents me from getting into this. So another thing that I think can get a lot better is, you see this leg here, the way it's very close to the body. I think that doesn't make sense. It would probably go a bit like this, open that, and then bring it back here. So I'm gonna just quickly give it a few brush strokes like this so I know where I'm heading towards. And of course you can always turn it on and off, and you see that's gonna look a little bit better. It's also a nice line to go and come back to this arm and this little pinch that we have here. So that's another one that definitely can improve. I really like the fact that we can see under the pawn here, and that's something that I always remember dogs and wolves and things like this. So that's gonna be a very nice touch. I want to keep it like this. With the foot, I want to do the same thing we did to the hand. So I want to make sure this looks like it's being through a lot of pressure. He's really tense, and we can see it the way he's bending his foot. So paint over. Of course, this is not set in stone, and basically I'm not really sure of how anatomy is going to resolve when I'm doing this, because I need to look at reference and all of that, but I know that the graphic mass, the graphic design of the werewolf is going to be fine. So the tail, actually we have a pretty bad representation of what the tail is going to look like in the end, because it's thin, it doesn't have any fur, and like we've been saying on the previous videos, and if you want to check it out, we will be uploading these pretty soon to Unhide website. The tail needs to be a lot fluffier because we'll grow a lot of hair onto it, and I think we can bend it this way. If you look at the original visual, I did that. I got the tail and I bent towards the body because this gives me a better notion that he's cornered or he's being hunted. So let's go here and think about how this is gonna work. You know what? Maybe it's a bit too stiff and I'm trying to follow the actual design that I got on the model. I'm gonna erase this because I think I'm being biased towards it. Let's just draw a new tail. Let's go this way, this way. Yeah, I think this works a little bit better. Maybe this. And let's try to erase this tail just so it's not bugging our brains. So when I say erase, it's not even really erasing it. It's just making sure our brains are not perceiving it as a big key element of design. And I'm gonna brush some stuff on top of this too. This is like really rough painting, but it's good enough for us to understand shape. I'm gonna do the same to this leg. And I'm gonna get a darker tone and just highlight this a little bit so I see the difference between planes. Nice, so let's do something now and have a look what happens when I toggle this on and off. Very quickly, we start to have a way better notion of this gonna look like, and also makes me have a look at really important decisions of how to pose my model. And I'm doing this from my head because I'm used to draw hands and used to do sketches like this. But if you feel like you struggle a little bit to which decision you need to make, have a look at references. Just go back to your folder. Let me do it here so you see how it would be a good procedure when getting to this step. You could go to your hunted project, references, and bring them up. So you see, like, I'm not really sure of how the leg should be, for example. Just open something and you have a look. Remember that little pawn that I was saying it would be a nice touch just below our werewolf? Look at this. This looks like perfect reference. So you just need to copy that where you think it would look nice. So keep looking. References are always going to take you further away. More things to worry about. I think this shoulder here looks pretty odd. Probably if we go and have a look at it, the shoulder would spike around here because he's getting his elbow touching on the floor, or at least he should. So it's probably going to spike a little bit here. And that's going to give us a better feeling. Like, these decisions are not random. I'm always looking forward to convert the most energy, like the things that make the pose look like it's there. So we're changing this. I'm gonna raise that a little bit. Yeah, I think it's not bad. Now let's add a second layer to this. Actually, this hand is very poorly resolved, but it's really hard for me. Like, hands are really hard to draw, and I can get here and struggle a little bit more to make it look nice. But this is something that I know if I resolve well my hand, and the hand is fitting on this part of the image, everything is going to work. I just need to make sure it looks nice when I model it, and then it gets back to that point of looking at references. So let's go and create a second layer, because I think I'm happy with the overall tweaks that we just drew here. It makes it look a lot better. Now we need to think about fur, because fur is going to play a big role here, and we don't actually have any representation of how it's going to look like. So I'm going to create another layer and start to paint fur. Roughly, of course, just so I have a notion. Let me get a dark tone. And I know that from the start in this project, I've been saying like how wolves look different when they don't have fur. They look like a dog. Have a look at this. It's really weird shape. You would think of, this is not a wolf, this is a dog, and this is actually a wolf. So this part that the wolves have here, well, actually this other image is a way better example. Look at the structure of the head. All of this fur here gives it the nice characteristic that wolves have, that nice shape of fur spiking out here at the cheek height. So let's go there and start drawing these things. And we'll have fur all around, like we'll have fur on the neck, we have fur here at the back. This is something that I really want to keep as the concept, because if you look at this guy, one thing that brings a lot of tension to this image is noticing how you have fur arched on the back and the neck. This is something very characteristic in dogs and wolves, like when they are angry they have fur spiking out like this. So let's try to keep it the same way or even enhance it. And the way we have the neck here, it's going to be really cool to bring this up. Here we go. I'm going to color pick a lot of times over the original render, so you know this makes sense. It looks more like it's fur actually there. Here we go, and it starts to look like a wolf. Look, very different. Of course, we'll have fur added to many parts of it. I'll do the same here on the back fur, just so it looks a little bit more legit, because what we have at the moment is just not there. Just want to make sure, like, the silhouette and the way my brain perceives this is how it's gonna be when there is actually something there. It's not detail, it's not like this, it's about the visual shape, the mass. And that's pretty much look dev, like doing things like this, rendering and bring it back to Photoshop. That's something in the industry that people keep calling look dev. And I think it's a pretty good name, because it's like look development. You're trying to make something look like it's cool and it's gonna look in the end. And it's great for the part of, you know, just like developing your visual. You're not really sure of how things are gonna look like in the end, and the studios do that so they don't lose money or time developing something. They know firsthand how it's gonna look like. It's a very important part of the conceptual stage of a project, and it's probably about the end of the conceptual phase where the artists start to get involved on actually creating 3D assets. So this here probably can have some fur around the arm as well. Fur. I like the fact that we have fur here on the elbow. I think they do have that. Let's check out our references. There are some really nice drawings. This creepy wolf, do we have anything? Nah, not really. Yeah, this sort of effect. Let's keep bringing this. If you guys want to know anything, like if you want to make any questions, you can ask it. For me, it's just a bit troublesome because I have Photoshop full screen. Let me have a look if anybody's saying anything. No. Actually, it's even tricky to see it. Nah, nobody say anything. So, anyways, I think I think I got it in a way that I could look at. I just don't know if Facebook's gonna roll it when people actually get to comment anything. I'll just leave it there. So let's get more fur in the back. Oh, yeah, now I think I have comments. It's just really hard to see. I think I need a wingman. Somebody just to have a look at the comments and let me know what you guys are thinking. But anyways, just let me know and I'll try to look and roll a little bit. If there's any sort of question that I can answer to, I'll be glad to help. Here we go. A bit of fur here. Just idealizing it. Of course, we'll probably do have some fur around here. Fur here on the leg. Tail. I don't even need to detail that as much because we know we're gonna have a lot of fur there. It's not gonna change a lot on the shape. I think something that's gonna happen is that we're gonna have a lot of fur coming down here from the chest. And this is a bit tricky to convey here because, well, it's a rough drawing. It would be something like this, but would be in the back. I just need to make sure I don't cover the back pawn because I think that's cool. Here we go. So maybe, of course, we need to have this. Let's see how this looks like as a whole. I'm gonna group these layers that I did, all of these sketches on top of it. Let's turn on and off. It's a lot of difference. Look, it gets a lot of volume. Pretty good stuff. So what else can we do to improve this? I think, I'm not sure if this is gonna be my final image regarding the crop, like, cause maybe it's a bit too tight in the frame. Maybe it would be better off if you had a little bit more room like this. Maybe a little bit less, because I like the face to be somewhere around here, but not too much, about here. That's good. I'm gonna go to my image and I'm going to roughly extend these areas. So M for marquee tool, drag, Control T so you can transform it. Let's bring it to the corner. How many times we ever done this? Let's extend these things. Here we go. I'm probably gonna get the tail to show up. Yeah. Let's get the base here to be stretched. It's probably gonna look bad, but we're no worries. Here we go. Now we have a lot more room. Good stuff. I'm gonna paint this out. Paint this out. Tails here again. Paint it out. Cool. Another thing that's very important. It's the blood. This guy has another thing on the idea that is blood. So we're going to have wounds on this guy. Of course, we haven't even thought of anything like this because we don't have even anatomy resolved. But these are things that are very important. The darts and wounds and blood coming out of the mouth are very important concepts to make sure our image is working. And that's a big part on these tutorials. I'm trying to teach you guys how to think, and hopefully you can use that to whatever you're creating. So let's start thinking of blood. I got red here, and that's maybe a bit too flashy. Let's get it darker. And I'm gonna draw where I think blood should be. I wanna have the mouth with a lot of blood, maybe some blood dripping. And you remember the effect that we were talking about, the spoke wheeling effect, when you have many lines converging to where we want the spectator to look at. Blood here is another great thing for me to do so, because I can choose whatever blood is flowing here or it's flowing this way. So let's make sure we have a nice little puddle and maybe I have a line going this way. So this is actually creating another entrance in the image for me. It's another line to guide the look, so we go and have a look at the werewolf all over again. We can make a few drips here, like he got blood on his hands. We could get blood on his hands here too. And let's think where he's actually hurt. We could hurt him here on the chest. I think that's a good place to get a slash or a injury. We could hurt him in the arm, maybe on the shoulder, not sure. I like the fact that the other one had some things around here in the neck, and the blood's gonna play a big part on this, because we can create the fur over this wolf and we can soak it in blood. It's gonna look very gory. Maybe here, not sure about this. And that's it. And after we have all of this ready, all of this area, it's gonna be soaked in blood. And I'm gonna get this darker. This area is gonna be soaked in blood. This area is gonna be soaked in blood. This area is gonna be soaked in blood. Maybe here as well, like in the mouth. Teeth are gonna be like this. When you're spitting blood out, you're gonna have a very bloody mouth. And that's a cool thing. I want to play with the concept like this, because I want people to have a first look at it, and they don't really know if this is blood from a victim or if it's his own blood. Maybe perceiving that this is his own blood is a nice thing, you know, it adds to the concept and that surprise factor. Cool. So let's have a look at our visual and make sure we're not missing. Oh, the darts, of course. So let's think of where the darts should be. I'm just creating these things in other layers so we can toggle them on and off and perceive how things are rolling. Okay. I'm gonna get to some bright tone, because I think darts are gonna be probably bright things. Here is a nice place to have a dart on, because it's a very good area. You're gonna end up looking at this place because of the neck. So let's see. This is a good place. One here would be cool as well. Here we go. Maybe one here on the floor, like, you know, just fell off, and you can see it's a dart, just in case somebody look at these things and they don't really understand, like, what is this thing that you're placing here? Here is the hint. So it's always good to give your spectator a hint of what to look for, you know. So if you see it here, that's gonna, okay, now I know that every time I see this thing, it's a dart. Cool stuff. Maybe not here, maybe it's in a bad place. So I'm just gonna go L for my marquee tool, and then V again for move. Let's place it around here. And of course you can always get back to blood and make sure it looks bloody. You can give a lot of spit, a lot of little splatter to this guy. Another good thing that we have here is like the claws and the marks that the werewolf made on the walls, like he was trying to run away or something. I'm not sure if I want to draw these now, because I'm not sure if I want to get there, you know. Maybe it's a bit too far, maybe it's pushing it too hard, but that's something that we should keep in mind. And to just close the session, I think it might be good to add a few things that would add perspective to this scene, because right now we're just against this wall and there's no other elements to give scale to this wolf. You don't know if this guy is big or small. That's something really tricky to see. Probably these darts are way too big and we'll probably have to shrink them down. So let's go and shrink them a little bit. Maybe, we don't know, like if they were hunting werewolves, they would have bigger darts. I don't know. These are details to make our image rich. So let's think of what we could add here to make sure we have a nice notion of scale. We have to research a bit more, but just from the top of my head, I can think of a pipe. Like, let's think we're in this alleyway and there's just this pipe on the wall or something. It's coming down like this, or maybe we could have a rubbish bin that's being flipped over or something here on the foreground. Not so sure. And like some stuff on the floor, like broken bottles or just bottles. Stuff that's gonna help you to think of the scale of this image. What can we have here at the wall? Not really sure. Like a little element here or something around here would be good, because this is a bit empty. However, there's something. If we go for a flashlight setup, you know, like flashlight lighting, as they found him or something, or he's running and they cornered him, so the flashlight is a key element that's going to help us to get this idea. Look what's going to happen to this guy. We're going to have a flashlight beaming like this, right? And what happens to the shadow of this guy? It's going to grow here. And that's going to be really cool, because we will be able to enhance the fact of the fur pointing out like this. It's going to grow a lot and it's going to look a bit more scary, I think. So we just need to be careful. Maybe if we added an element here would be nice at this point, but the shadow, it's probably going to do its work. So I'm just going to paint that very roughly. And of course we can always come back to this after we have like the anatomy modeling that we're planning. We can always come back and see if things are working like we thought or planned. So what I'm doing here is very roughly just painting it dark. In a way that, you know, this would be the big graphic mass that the werewolf would project on this wall. Let me get some fur just so we have a proper idea. Fur. I think this is not looking right. This probably would be closer to his elbow. So let's go and marquee tool and Control Shift X. This is Liquify. This is the shortcut for Liquify, so just want to bring this closer. Of course, you can have a look at your image. Show backdrop, yes. Closer. Let's hit OK. And of course, let's Control D to deselect and erase. Close to our elbow. And let's set it to multiply and bring down the opacity. About here, it's not too bad. And we would probably need to go for some sort of vignetting, because the flashlight wouldn't be flooding all over. So let's get here to with our brush tool, make it really big. We are still working on this layer. I want to give that vignette feeling that you would have from a flashlight. But we're getting too crazy now. We're not sure how these things will behave. That's just an idealization, but I think I like it. Yeah. Alright, so I think this closes the deal for our new layout. So let's have a look of where we were, this naked beast, to where we got. And you see that you have a way better visual and a really good guideline for you to keep working. So then again, I strongly advise you to go have a look and make sure you have a nice layout before you start building things. Awesome stuff. Thank you very much for watching this, and I'll catch you on the next tutorial. Bye.